with the Catherine. So if Nova don't take away the Celeste, or if Rogue doesn't ban it here, I expect Rogue to go for the Celeste if Cruel is not still going to be open. On the other hand, Nova have multiple, the Dan comes through, so they're not going to be going for it.
Yeah, not going to have the chance to take that Celeste, so good job by Rogue to ban that away, make sure that Truth doesn't get his hands on it, but he could go for the CP Idris. You know, we used to always talk about the Catherine being the hard counter to the Idris, but that's generally on the weapon Idris. It's not as hard of a counter on the CP Idris, although it is still something that they're probably going to be wary of, but they want to take the Kroll away. Again, just trying to force Pon the Original away from his top picks, which they have done now. It was the Kroll and the Rhyme have always been his top two, and they're going to be getting him off of those, so forcing something else to come out. If Rogue wants to go for this protect the carry style of play, they're going to have to figure out something else to use in the jungle.
They certainly are. The Kroll and the Lance, though, it's a combo that we've seen a lot of times across the course of this season. Definitely something that you can chain those CCs together, but Rogue, with just 15 seconds left to decide where they want to go with this one. Hero pools have been pinched, though. The Rhyme and Kroll taken off the table.
Exactly, and they're definitely taking their time to think about what they want to pick against the Kroll here. I mean, if anyone would know what to pick, who would be Pon the Original, because he plays that Kroll so often. This is something completely different that we haven't seen come out from any team. The Fortress jungle is common, but combined with the Adagio weapon power that's going to be in the lane for Hammy, that's a new composition. And especially for Pon the Original, a player that we know for aggressive play rather than this passive play style for Fortress.
Yeah, and you can see on your screen there, totally different from what Pon the Original normally plays. I mean, obviously the Rhyme and the Kroll, everyone knew is his top two. The Grumpjaw, which came out I think once or twice total, was his third most played hero. That's how much they have been emphasizing the Rhyme and the Kroll. So those melee weapon power bruisers have been, or not even necessarily the weapon power because of Rhyme, but the melee bruisers have been the order for Pon the Original, and this is just completely shaking that up.
CP Idris is still open, but I was going to say Vox is the hero that Truth has played when he hasn't played Kestrel or Celeste. So they end up going for it over the Kestrel because perhaps he just lost on it last game and he doesn't want to play it again. Vox allows for more aggressive play in the early game specifically because he can shove in faster, but a very interesting composition coming out of Rogue where they can scale and they can become very strong in the late game and also in the early game just because of Adagio weapon power.
How are we feeling about the double weapon power coming out from Nova, though?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, it's double weapon versus what could very likely be double crystal. Could be the weapon Adagio, though, so you don't really know where these teams are going to go.
CP Vox, perhaps?
It could be a CP Vox. We'll have to see. I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm ready to be proven wrong. Nova are against the ropes. It's 1-0 to Rogue. Hashtag Vainglory. Let us know who you're supporting. But it's time to get on into the second game of semi-final number 2.
Thanks, guys. Once again, Rogue up a game over Nova right now. And it's always quite amusing, Denominate, when we see 3 captains locked in for the side of Rogue in the Adagio, Fortress, and Catherine.
Yeah, interesting combination, and it is looking to be the weapon Adagio this time around again, Jaws. So hopefully Hammy looking to find a little bit better of a performance today on it. Obviously, it didn't work out for them yesterday, but they were still able to take the series to make it this far. Evol, looking to get a steal, is going to have to just let it go, though, as he sees all 3 members of Nova there. And I think that's the smart call, but he's going to make sure he doesn't waste any time getting those stacks built up.
Yeah. Every 10 seconds, just go in, stun, walk away, stun, walk away, stun and hope something happens, and then you walk away. Now, Catherine is something we've seen or not seen. You pick. We've seen it in the draft, and it's always been Ben, but it's finally getting picked up here by Evol, and specifically on Evol I want to mention as well, because he's played almost exclusively Lance over the last couple of days, and Lance with good reason, and it's kind of interesting to see Nova take it away from him and saying, okay, we know you're pretty strong on it, we'll give you the Catherine instead. I mean, we're just going to leave that one up for you, not a problem, and then we've now got our chance to do this. But Evol, if he's a mean Lance, I mean, his Catherine play is going to be equally as horrible.
Oh, absolutely.
Horrible in the good way, by the way.
One of the best captains, in my opinion, as far as North America goes. And yes, we've seen his great performances on Lance, but, Catherine, a very easy hero to play as well. And that double blast tremor in the later portions of the game can be huge. But we have to focus our attention down here in the jungle as Eco and Lone Delphi are going in.
Uh-oh, Pod just got a little bit caught out in his own jungle. Eco and Lone Delphi make a very aggressive move into Rogue's jungle, end up picking up first blood. We'll go over to none other than Lone Delphi.
Yeah, good start here for Nova. Getting that first blood bounty onto the Krull is absolutely huge. Pawn the Original does have a Dragon Blood contract on this jungle fortress, looking for those aggressive plays. But, it's not the sustainable damage that Krull brings to the table when his whole team is not there. He can't win out a 1v1. He can have a huge effect on a team fight, spreading that Mortal Wound around, getting that bleed stack to proc and do that percentage of health damage. But, his perk is pack mates for a reason. Wolves hunt in a pack. When you get left out alone, it's not going to be pretty.
Absolutely not. They want to protect Hammy. He's going to be the main source of their damage when it comes to these team fights. Now, Nova, they do lose out on an Elder Treant. However, Lone Delphi going into the backwards of the jungles, just trying to take away some camps, is able to secure himself one of the healing Treants there. He's going to get stunned up, though, and he's in a lot of trouble now. Didn't get that passive burst of movement speed. He's going to dash towards, though, that Elder Treant, and he's just going to find himself a truth. Upon the Original, he's going to get chased down here as well. Nova turning that small engagement right around and force Pond's boot usage.
Absolutely, and the fact that Lone Delphi even got that Treant is absolutely massive for Nova. He was able to get out alive. No kills were found in that fight, but now Hammy did look to rotate over, look to get some backs out of Nova's jungle, saw Lone Delphi coming, decides this is a bad idea, and gets out of dodge. Going back, he has now purchased a Heavy Steel, the Six Sins, and a Swift Shooter. So looking to go into that Sorrow Blade first item. And I do think this is a better route than going with the Poison Shiv that we saw him run yesterday. That Poison Shiv just doesn't offer the same upfront damage to really benefit off of the range that Adagio has. Puts him in a little bit of an uncomfortable spot, and now Delphi not done looking for more here out of Rogue's jungle, but they smell it going on, and they are coming in hot.
Like a convenience store, their jungle right now. They're coming in really hot, and now he's finally caught out. Doors are closed. Nova end up sacrificing a kill there, and it will go over to Hammy as well. The most important member, or at least the carry right now, for Rogue.
Yeah, getting Hammy to that Sorrow Blade is where Adagio is going to start to spike. He's going to start to have that early dominance that it's going to take a little bit more time for Truth to ramp up, and that's where Rogue really needs to push the advantages. They need to understand, okay, we have the Sorrow Blade on Hammy now. He's just purchased it now at this jungle at the home shop, and now coming back into the lane, it's going to be an easier time for him to get those last hits, as well as the amount of damage he's going to be able to output and poke from a range is going to be sizably better than if he were to have gone with that Poison Shiv first item again.
A lot of upfront burst damage, and now Pon has actually finished that Storm Crown as well. So we'll be able to contest these neutral objectives. Lone Delphi's a neutral objective right now, sitting high and dry in the middle of the map. Triple Githian wall, though, is going to sentence Hammy to death, and that'll be Pon falling as well. Evo gets chased up. Beautiful play from Eco. Nova find an ace.
Nova find an ace. Nova are probably going to find a turret, as well as a Crystal Sentry here from Lone Delphi. And he may even look to stick around and find some additional jungle as well. A half rotation out of Rogue's pockets. This is a huge lead forming for Nova already. We are at 3,000 here at just 6 minutes. They've got to be feeling pretty comfortable here. But we do have to remember, this is a double weapon composition. So as Hammy and Pon the Original build up armor, we'll probably see multiple Atlas Pauldrons come out. That's going to help Rogue deal with some of this damage as the game goes on. And it actually looks like Delphi is going into possibly a breaking point first item. So getting that armor online early is going to be absolutely huge for the side of Rogue. They need to limit his damage that he's able to output so that it takes him longer to scale up in the fights. And now Nova just looking to get a gold mine here, and it's going to be uncontested. In fact, I don't even think Rogue knows it's going on, as they're so far pushed back right now. 3,500 gold lead sitting on the board for Nova, and that is going to be almost enough gold for Delphi to get that breaking point online. He has already gone with that Atlas Pauldron, so he is going to be looking to dive onto Hammy and get that debuff on.
There's 7 minutes as well. That's a pretty sizable gold lead, and it's all by Lone Delphi invading Rogue's jungle over and over again. He knows at the current time and at the early stages of the game, Hammy's the only one that can kill him. Attack of the Pack going to get unleashed. Pon the Original's going to jump straight on the backline, but Hammy's going to be the target of the aggression from Nova. They're just not letting him go. He ends up falling to Lone Delphi, and now it's only Pon the Original and Evold to stand in their way. A beautiful Impair will lock him up, and that'll be another ace for Nova. They're just going to push onto this tier 2 turret here, Day.
Yeah, not a clean ace like we saw out of the last couple fights, but it's clean enough to get a turret down. Unfortunately, they did not finish off that Crystal Sentry before it did recall, so it will be marching back onto the map again at full health. So Rogue's got to feel at least all right about that. They didn't lose out the worst case scenario. I mean, the worst case scenario would have been their entire jungle's gone, the Crystal Sentry's gone, the turret's gone, and Rogue is just, you know, literally manhandling them as the game goes on. And now Truth looking to keep this aggression up. Jaws, I can't believe how aggressive Nova has been this game.
The stark contrast to what happened in game number 1. Rogue just seemed to take everything in their stride. Hammy was just hitting Spitfire after Spitfire after Spitfire, took control of the lane. Truth was just laid by the wayside. He was just nowhere to be seen in some of those fights. And now he is sitting at 2 kills and 4 assists, almost 100% kill participation. He's got Sorrow Blade online, he's got Poison Shiv, and now Nova are going on the aggression. They know Hammy's going to be the main target for the team fights. They know he's got the most damage on the Rogue squad, and now Rogue, they need to be able to just keep Hammy alive with Pon, with Evo just backing him up. There's a little bit of crystal power boom built for Pon here, so at least he's got a little bit more bang for his buck in these later on team fights. Another gold miner though will get taken by Nova.
Yeah, Pon definitely looking to get that Aftershock online, helping with some cooldowns as well as that burst of damage when he goes in. However, he's pretty far behind at this point. I mean, 32 CS, we're 9 going on 10 minutes into this game. Hammy has just now completed that Tornado Trigger, but more importantly, just the draft in general. Rogue has got this far off of getting Hammy onto those hyper carry heroes, those heroes that we don't have to have the biggest jungle lead for Pon the Original to really be able to capitalize on. And that's not what a Weapon Adagio is. A Weapon Adagio is one of 2 damage sources. He's not a sole carry, and that's just a little out of Rogue's comfort, in my opinion, at least in watching them play. If this goes to a game 3, I hope we get Hammy back onto one of those Crystal Mages as the sentry's going down. Here we go.
Oh my goodness, that was beautiful setup from Elzhar. Does hit Hammy. They're going to chase him up. Crystal Sentry's joined the fray, but Hammy's already dead. Pon falls next to him as well. Truth ends up going down for his first death of the game, but Delphi's there with the damage. No matter who Rogue focus, they will take one out, but not before 2 members are taken out of theirs. Hammy has just been he's been a punching bag, I want to say, Day, in this fight and in this game. He's going to get locked up. Eco gets Githy and Lone Delphi will chase him up. Smite's not going to quite be enough. Rogue do end up spawning. They're not going to be able to get too much out of that. So it literally was just a little bit of gold transfer.
Yeah, a little bit of a gold transfer, but with a 6,000 gold league, Nova, looking over at their builds, Truth has the Breaking Point, Poison Shiv, and Sorrow Blade complete. All that's left for him to do is start getting into the defense, and he shouldn't really drop. And looking at the builds over on the side of Rogue, he should prioritize that armor first. We do see the reflex block, we do see the armor purchased, and this is smart because right now, Pon is not really a damage threat. Now he has the Aftershock online, he will have a bit of burst, but the consistency of damage coming out of Rogue is going to be relying on Hammy, who has the Sorrow Blade and the Tornado Trigger. So Truth needs to get enough gold to upgrade this armor to tier 2 and get an infusion, and they can look to push for another fight, and probably a lot safer of a fight, as they are now on this gold mine and Rogue is on their way down.
Yeah, Rogue is on their tail. Eco's going to get a nice impale onto Evo. Honda's going to unleash the attack of the pack, but Truth's in the back line left completely alone. And Wait for it is going to silence them all up, but look at Truth falling so quickly, and he's actually going to take the first casualty of war. Hammy's going to fall again instantaneously. They do trade 1-for-1, however, but Pod is just going to get chased down. He's smited by Lone Delphi, and he goes down as well. Nova, they still take 2 members. Evo, only member left alive. That will mean Nova are now just going to ravage their jungle.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Truth, he was not able to get an infusion before that fight broke out. And, that, again, he's going to need that defense. Hammy does output a lot of damage with this critical build. And now with Nova getting onto this Crystal Sentry, we already have a 6,500 gold lead for them. And with this gold miner getting ready to go down, if Evol isn't able to steal it, then that could start, really laying the hurt onto the pockets of Rogue, as Nova, if they get closer and closer to this 10,000 advantage, Vox is going to have his full build online in absolutely no time. He's sitting on 1,500 gold in his pocket right now. He has enough for that metal jacket, and that is going to cut down so much damage coming out of Rogue. That is what he should pick up at least when he makes it down to the shop. There it is, metal jacket ready to go. Upon the original, only 1 true offensive item, and Hammy struggling to get into his 3rd offensive item, while Truth has 3 and a tier 3 defense as well, and a level 12 infusion. So that's where we could really see this lead developing for Nova right now, is just looking at Truth's build over Hammy. And also, obviously, Lone Delphi, the aggressive rotations through the jungle, stealing away CS from Pond the Original, has done a fantastic job this game.
I mean, you can just see it in the numbers, can't you? 65 CS for Lone Delphi, 42 for Pom right now. Has got the Aftershock, so he is able to just execute targets if necessary. But the problem is, and I'm looking at Lone Delphi's build, and I'm going, he's got an Atlas Pauldron. He jumps, and what has been happening, he jumps to the back line. Hammy's attack speed just depletes. And then he's sitting there just trying lazily, it seems, to throw basic attacks out at Truth, trying to do as much damage as possible. And Nova can easily win these fights, and they have been doing just that. Truth now almost stopping the back there with the Sonic Zoom, but just pushing in these lanes. We are 14 minutes on the clock now, and there is a 8,000, sorry, can't count it seems. 8,000 gold lead here for Nova. This is looking a very one-sided game.
Yeah, second Tornado now online for Hammy. He is going to be critting on almost every basic attack. Evol does have that Atlas Pauldron, but it is a little more difficult to land an Atlas onto Vox, specifically because Lance is also there. So the Sonic Zoom's available, as well as that Githian Wall can force Evol back, which makes it difficult to lock Truth up the same way they've been able to do to Hammy. And, again, now Truth rushing down to the shop, has the gold for an Aegis, has it now complete. Truth is almost at an unstoppable point in his build.
Oh, there comes the attack of the pack. Lone Delphi's going to be the target this time. Impale does end up rooting only a couple of the walls. Truth trying to run out of the way at the back of the fight. Pon the original and Evo had isolated him, but Lone Delphi is just going to get chasing on Hammy. Can't quite find the smite just yet, and Impale does land to 2 members of Rogue, but Hammy this time turning this one around. Rogue find 2 kills, and now it's only Eco standing in their way. And with 15 minutes on the clock here, Day, this could be a Kraken as well. If they finally find the last hit onto the lance, they do. An ace for Rogue, and now they're going to set their sights on the giant beast.
Yeah, the ace minions here in the wave should take down the turret by themselves. In fact, almost have it done already. Pon went a little too far in that fight. The whole situation with the Krull is you want to protect your carry. You need to keep Truth alive. You need to let Truth be the one to ramp up. Delphi committed everything into diving in that fight, and then at that point it was just a matter of, okay, Hammy, Pon, Evol just dash past him. Delphi's already burned his gap closers at that point, and that singled Truth out. Eco had a good impale, a good Githian ball coming in, but it wasn't in a timely manner that Truth was able to come in and follow up on damage. He was just a little bit out of range, and that was allowing Rogue to turn their attentions around. And now Hammy working in his Pierce as well should be able to duel out Truth at this point in the game.
Kraken still marching on these turrets though. Rogue are just sieging up here. Attack of the Pack's going to get unleashed. But we'll use those boots to get away for the time being. They've got a lot of damage to deal with this Kraken, unlike what Rogue do, so they will be able to make mean work of it. A Kraken for one turret, not too bad whatsoever, especially as Nova are going to be able to secure a little bit of gold as well. Crystal Sentry will go down, and Rogue will be able to secure at least another objective while they walk out the side of Nova's jungle.
Yeah, definitely looking to do so. That Kraken push maybe not as effective as Rogue would have hoped. Obviously, that choke point turret still standing, not the most ideal situation for Rogue, but as we get further into this game, obviously they'll be able to take down that turret with ease if they get a chance where they all rotate up. That Storm Crown will make short work of the barrier, and the raw amount of damage coming out of Hammy will be able to just power through that turret. We have to see more coordination coming out of Nova if we want to see them pull this one together.
Well, it is, the gold lead is kind of collapsed, only slightly. Rogue securing an extra 2,000 gold, making it only a 6,000 gold lead now for Nova. But still, Nova in a commanding position to be able to take this game. Remember, there's only one true damage threat on the side of Rogue, and that is Hammy. He's got 2 tornado triggers now, so he is dishing out the dirt, but can he do it quick enough before Lone Delphi and Truth execute him? 2 Atlas Pauldrons now finished for the side of Nova, as well as 2 Crucibles as well.
Yeah, definitely, going to be useful moving forward, having that additional Crucible. There's so much crowd control that comes out of Eco and Lone Delphi that, it's going to come down to the timing. Pon is a jungler. He's not a captain. We're going to have to see if he can help with those good timings.
It will. Kraken's going to spawn very soon, mind you. So Nova, they've got this in mind. They are just kind of setting up little death bushes here. Same with Rogue. They've got the same idea. Not too much vision for Nova, however. On the entrances to the jungle is exactly where they've got theirs. Rogue have got more around their back camps where they need it to be, honestly, at the moment. However, Evo looking to go back to base here, maybe pick up a few more flares, a few more scout traps. But a Bone Saw completion for Hammy is going to shred through some of Nova's armor quite readily, and that's going to be very important for him to stack that one up. But will he survive long enough for that to be the case? They are going to get flared out. This next team fight will possibly result in a Kraken, so both teams right now are going to have to be very careful in how they're maneuvering around the map.
Yeah, definitely have to be careful. We see the attack speed that Hammy is putting out. He's even picked up the Bone Saw now. So, getting those stacks out incredibly quick will shred that armor of Truth. But, Eco and Delphi both have an Atlas Pauldron. If they can make it onto Hammy without getting too far out of Truth's range, that's going to be where we're able to obviously see the damage coming out of Truth start to ramp up. If he gets forced out of a fight early the way Rogue has been able to do, then he's never going to have time to get those breaking point stacks up and carry through a fight like the Vox hyper carry should be. There is not a lot of damage on Delphi, so we are relying almost solely on Truth to be able to carry Nova through these fights.
2 sets of War Treads are finished now as well for Nova, delivering Delphi to the back line just to make sure Hammy has to kite back as much as possible. Versa Judgment isn't a necessary tool in the weapon power build, not doing too much damage. The stun will still be present, yes, but Nova realistically, Hammy realistically just wants to get loads of basic attack down, so not locking himself in that animation. Now, infusions across the board. This is setting up to be quite a mean fight. And one small thing I've actually noticed as well, Evo's only got 18 stacks on that Catherine passive. Although Lone Delphi looking for an engagement here. I don't want to start saying a sentence too quick here, because they will just pop those War Treads. Pon is going to be just rushing towards that back line, popping the War Treads as well for the second time. From Hell's Heart is going to land, it's going to strike true as well. Hammy actually just gets caught by it completely. Stun up against the wall with the Githian wall, and that will sentence him back to the base. Lone Delphi picks up the kill, and that'll be Pon falling as well. It's just a mess. It's just a cluster in these fights. All of 6 players just standing on top of each other, and we only know the victors before they just after they clamber out from the dead bodies that do lay. Turns out this time it's Nova finding the ace. They're going to break the base as well. They're 21 minutes in. Can they look to end here, Day?
They are looking to do so. These death timers are getting pretty short, as well as their minion wave is, but they've got a second wave coming in. I think Nova has it here, though, Jaws. They have the damage split evenly on the turrets at this point. Eco gonna take that one down, and now Nova is just in a race of damage. With
One's gonna fall, the second one falls as well. The crystal is gonna go down. Nova take a game off of Rogue, and the series is tied up 1-1.
Beautiful plays coming out of Nova there at the end, as well as a great shot call to just ignore the Kraken and push in and end the game. It is not the cleanest of games for Nova, but hey, a win at this point is a win.
A win is a win, and Rogue have proven to everybody that they are a formidable roster. However, Nova taking this to a 1-1 will lead this game 3 being extremely tense. We'll have to wait and see how that's going to turn out. However,